Hello everyone, welcome to part 2 of when not to allow generic substitution. On part 1 I mentioned one of the reasons you shouldn't allow generic substitution is if the drug is deemed non-substitutable by SAPRA. Currently there aren't many drugs that are deemed non-substitutable. Actually, I'm not sure if there's still a list of non-substitutable drugs because now almost every drug in the market has generic. But what usually happens if the drug is deemed non-substitutable? Usually, SAPRA and government will appoint one company that will be responsible for producing that drug for the whole country. In some cases, if the originator company is already in the country, then they will allow that originator company to produce that drug for the whole country. Or if they can't get hold of the originator company, or if it's not possible to import the originator drug into the country, or it's too expensive for the population, then they allow one company to make a generic for that drug. One case of a drug that I know that is still deemed non-substitutable by SAPRA because of its narrow therapeutic index is digoxin. What do I mean when I say digoxin has narrow therapeutic index? I mean any difference between the doses or the blood concentration of the drug can lead to unexpected consequences or unexpected results. So usually you can get overdose or underdose. The smallest changes can lead to that. In the case of digoxin, there's only one company that is licensed to produce digoxin for the whole country, and that company is Aspen. Aspen produces two products of digoxin. The first one is lenoxin, the originator, and the second one is pegoxin. So the lenoxin is produced for the public sector, while pegoxin is for the private sector. So no matter which sector you'll be using, either private or public sector, you'll be still getting the same thing but in different packaging. If you've watched my previous videos on generic and clone, you realize that I'm contradicting what I said about generics and clones. So the originator and the generic is produced by the same company. It's the same thing, just in different packaging. That is supposed to be a clone, right? Yes, it's supposed to be a clone. But, and this is a very big but, Aspen is licensed to produce lenoxin. Aspen doesn't own the brand lenoxin. They are licensed to produce lenoxin. It's not their brand. They're just licensed to produce that lenoxin. I don't know who owns lenoxin because digoxin is quite a very old drug. The first product of digoxin came into the market around the 1930s. It's very difficult to track now which company owns lenoxin. So if you don't own the product, you can't be making clones because it's not yours to begin with. So that's what happened in this case of Aspen. They don't own lenoxin, so they can't claim pegoxin is a clone. Although it's the same thing, same product in different packaging, they can't claim it's a clone, but they can say it's a generic. So currently they sell pegoxin for the state. Pegoxin is cheaper than lenoxin, so they sell pegoxin for the state because government want cheaper alternatives. So the cheaper alternative is for the state, and then lenoxin, the originator brand, is for the private sector. But whichever one you get, it's still the same thing. It doesn't matter, it's still the same thing. So there won't be any differences between the two products. Besides its narrow therapeutic index, there's another reason why digoxin is still considered non-substitutable. This is because of the research that was conducted back in the 1970s or 80s, where a group of patients that were already stable on lenoxin, the originator brand, were given a generic of digoxin. During the generic trial, the patients started getting a headache, some were vomiting, and some had palpitation. Those were classic signs of digoxin toxicity. So it was later found out that minor differences between the originator and the generic, like the particle size, had an effect on digoxin. So after that incident, most countries deemed digoxin as a non-substitutable drug, and because of fear, most other drugs were deemed non-substitutable. Today, digoxin is still available in the market, but its use has declined because there are other safer alternatives in the market. Digoxin is a medication indicated for heart failure. Another product that is still not allowed to be substituted is insulin. Those are biologics. This is because of their complex molecular structure. So to conclude today's topic, generics have improved significantly, but they still remain imperfect. I just want to give my advice on this topic based on my experience and what I've seen in practice. I am a person that is pro-generic. I think generics are very good for the economy. But there are still few drugs that I think you should not allow substitution on. For me, these are antipsychotic drugs like lithium. But anyway, on lithium, there's no generic. There's only one brand on the market, Camcolit. So that one is a no-go zone. You should not allow substitution on that one. And obviously, the two products that I've mentioned above, digoxin and insulin, even if they come up with generic, I think you should not allow those two to be substituted. Currently, most insulins don't have generics. Digoxin doesn't have generics, so you're still safe on those ones. Anti-epileptic medication, sodium valproate, brand name Epilizin, Epilim, Navalpro, and others. Try not to substitute on those ones. Other narrowtherapeutic index drugs like your thyroid medication, your Euthyrox or L-Troxin, don't substitute on those ones. And then to ladies, all the estrogen containing contraceptives, do not substitute those as well. So what do I mean when I say do not substitute? When I say do not substitute, I mean if there is a generic on that product, when you start your therapy or when you start your treatment, start with your generic or choose whatever brand you're gonna take and then stick to that brand. Choose a brand, stick to it forever. Don't swap unless you run out of option or unless that generic or the brand you're taking is out of stock. But with generics, you must remember as well, as human beings, we are different. Some people are more sensitive than others, some are less sensitive. So even with these cases I've just mentioned now, some people won't have anything, but there is a population of people that will probably experience the differences. If you know yourself that you are very sensitive to change, rather stick to one product, don't change. So that's it for today. Stay on meds for more clarity, not confusion, one med at a time. See you on the next one.